Okay, welcome back. We are joined by the 2024 CCC Champion, Mr. Hayden Hawks. Hayden, thanks for coming back in studio, buddy.
Yeah, man. Good to be back on. Just a few days ago we were here, right?
Yeah.
Ran around the mountain, did a bunch of stuff. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
what a weekend.
What a weekend. What a weekend. Your 7-year-old son, Crosby, is here in studio with us, and we were just talking about how the last time you won CCC was 7 years ago. He was 2 weeks old at that point. Here he is experiencing the UTMB, the finish line with his dad as a winner for the first time. What was that like specifically, since Crosby's here in studio?
Yeah, like last night when we were putting him to bed, he was like, I just want to relive that moment, you know, and that meant so much to me because that's a pretty special moment, you know, to have with my kids there at the finish line. There was a great photo that somebody took of like me kissing his head and my daughter just like looking at us and like big smile on her face. And yeah, like I'd say like that was the coolest part of this year, was sharing it with my family, because I wasn't able to do that 7 years ago. I shared it with my coach and my friends and stuff, but having my family and especially my kids there meant so much to me. The coolest part of the race was I went into Valencine and I didn't expect to see my family out there. And I was running in and all of a sudden my wife and my 2 kids are right there, you know, right before I go into the aid station. And my kids had signs that they had made up and it said "Go Daddy" on it. And I'm telling you, man, like that, like gave me extra strength.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling good, but I felt even better after that. And I was able to finish really strong. And I think a lot of it was due to seeing them there in Valencine.
Awesome. Well, bro, you came in with so much swagger, so much confidence. You were proven right. It feels like almost you manifested it in some ways. Like you kind of spoke it into existence. In other words, like you knew you were ready for a spectacular day, and it felt like it was almost flawless execution. Is that your assessment?
Yeah, the execution was spot on. I really didn't have to think about much out there. I just had to focus on my game plan, and I had a really confident, good game plan going in, and I knew if I just stuck to that, you know, right on what I knew I could do, that I would be hard to beat on the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it proved out to be that way. I felt very under control, very, very smooth the whole day. Was never like stressed or worried or anything like that. Honestly, I was just having fun.
Wow.
I was so happy to be out there, and it just was such a fun day out in the mountains. And I think a lot of that was the preparation that I did going into it. And I don't know, just embracing it, you know, like this whole weekend, it was been like, just embrace everything, you know, like do interviews if you need to do interviews, you know, have fun, enjoy. Because like, I think sometimes like we try and fight all those things. We try and avoid all those things and we fight it, and we end up wasting more energy fighting those things than actually just embracing it and taking that energy and bringing it into you and using that energy on race day. And so that's what I was really focused on, was like, hey, I already had a great performance at Black Canyon, great performance at Western States. Like, let's just have fun with this weekend. Let's enjoy it, see what I can do, and whatever happens, happens.
What a great lesson in there. The dynamics between the men's race and the women's race was really interesting in that Tony McCann basically went wire to wire. But in the men's race, it was a huge pack. There was like a group of 8 guys that were out front early. I saw you guys up at the Bonatti. And then there's this huge chase pack, including yourself. And as you came through, you made it clear, you know, you're just taking it easy, totally under control, totally composed. But I'd love to hear you just talk about that dynamic of the race pack specifically, compare it and contrast it from 2017, because I think a lot has changed in the way the race is run and, you know, maybe even in how you approach it strategically.
Yeah. I actually ran the race almost exactly like I did in 2017. You know, I was 4 minutes off my time from 2017. Like, it's almost exact the same thing. And it actually played out the same way. Like, the whole strategy was stay under control on that first climb, manage your heart rate, focus on your fueling, focus on getting through that first climb, like, as easy as you can. And that's what I did. Is I started kind of jogging and making my way through the pack, because I think like right at the start I was in like 30th or 40th place. I was like, yeah, I'm not too concerned. I'm running well. I'm running within myself. And then I was like, maybe I should work my way up a little bit. I think I worked up in like 15th or 20th or something like that. And I got stuck right behind Dakota Jones, and Adam Peterman was right behind me. And then Rod Farvard, I think, was like a couple down from us. And I was like, I looked at my heart rate. I was like, hey, this is perfect. This is right where I need to be.
We're in the right spot.
Started hiking with those boys, and we were joking. We were laughing. We were probably those loud Americans out there just like having a good time and enjoying it. I won't say the jokes that we were saying on here, but we were having a good time. And then after that, I just kind of made my way down to Breton and then across that balcony trail to Bonatti. And that's when I saw you.
Yeah.
And that's when I started kind of catching that lead pack, because I knew they were going hard, maybe too hard. Because I had looked at my splits before and I was like, man, I'm 10 minutes ahead of where I was in 2017.
Right.
Like, that's fast enough. There's a long race to run. I just need to focus on taking care of myself.
Yeah, you said to me, we're on 10-hour pace right now.
Yeah, I had the splits down and I knew that I was running fast enough.
So then after Bonatti, you flow down that beautiful trail to Arnuva and begin the biggest or maybe the most critical climb of the day. And it seemed like you made a somewhat intentional move there, going up the Grand Col Ferret. Am I correct in that interpretation?
There was no real intentional move made the whole day. It was just run your splits, run what you know you're capable of. I had a time in mind of what I knew I could run up Grand Col Ferret because I had done a workout on that. I knew what I was capable of in workout, and I adjusted it with the race in mind. And I ran that split almost exactly to the top, and that meant running a lot of that climb. I hiked sections of it, but I ran most of it. And it just so happened that my split was fast enough to gap the field. And so I was in the lead at the top there and feeling comfortable.
Yeah. So then fast forward on the broadcast, when it picked you back up again, it was you, Adam Peterman, and Seth Ruling together running into La Folie. And it felt like a really important moment in the race that was captured perfectly on the broadcast, where you stopped at a water fountain in the village there in La Folie, filled up your bottles there. They go into the tent, have to fiddle around with their bottles inside the tent. You come in, check in, and leave immediately while they're still messing around in there and get a gap right away that, from my perspective, felt like it put the pressure on them at an important moment. Yeah. Talk about that specific moment in the race.
Yeah, I knew it would be faster to fill up in the fountain, and then I could get wet in the fountain.
So that was planned, right?
100% planned. Yeah, I knew that I could get wet there, and I knew that was going to be crucial on a hot day to stay wet. And it was a really flowing fountain, and I could fill my bottle in seconds. The aid station was going to take a lot longer. The camera guy actually was like, hey, there's an aid station like literally 100 meters down the road. And I was like, this is faster. And so I utilized it, and I was able to run through there and just keep steady. Like, I didn't have to throw in a surge. I didn't have to try and catch up. I didn't have to do nothing like that. I could just keep steady and make the other guys do all the work.
The person that did have to put the surge in was Adam Peterman. He ended up catching back up to you. You guys, it felt like, worked together on the climb up to Champ-Lac. I'm sure the viewers and listeners would love to hear about that, whether you guys were chit-chatting, if it felt like you were working together, things like that.
He was ahead of me, actually, going into the climb by a little ways.
Right.
And the Chinese guy was also ahead of me. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Zhang,
yeah. He looked strong. Yeah. He was crushing the downhills. I was running, there was a point, though, when I was running on the downhill, and I was running like 6-minute mile pace, and he was flying ahead of me. And I was like, man, this guy's got to be running like 5:30 mile pace. Like, that's just not, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, that's too fast for me. So I just let him go. I didn't worry about it. And I knew that, if I was strong going into Champ-Lac, that's exactly where I made kind of a move against Ludo in 2017. And that's where I got a good gap on him. And then I was able to kind of run away with it after that. So that was kind of a little bit of the strategy, was like, hey, make sure you have legs by the time you get to that Champ-Lac climb.
But you and Adam kind of came into the aid station together, more or less, didn't you?
I think he was a little behind me, but I passed him like right before the aid station.
Did you guys spend any time together on that climb?
Not really. He was a little bit ahead. He kept looking back, because he knew I was coming. And he would hike. And every time he would start hiking, I would start running. And then every time he would start running, I would start hiking.
Look at that cat and mouse game.
And so, and I kind of did that a little bit on purpose there, just because like I was like, well, if he sees me running, it might mess with him a little bit. But also, me and Adam were working together early on. Adam was actually like asking me a lot of questions, and I was giving him a lot of tips actually out there. And he actually turned to me, he's like, "Why are you giving me tips? Like, I'm supposed to be racing you." And I told him, I said, "Dude, I want to see you have a successful race too. Like, I know what you've been through. I've been through the same thing. Like, I know that that's rough and it's hard, and this is your first time out here. Like, let's both get on the podium." Yeah. And that was kind of my whole mindset was like, yeah, I would love to win today, and I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to try and win. But at the same time, like, I'm going to give you tips. I'm going to help you, because if we can both get on the podium, even if I finish second or third, I'm happy with that. Because it's been a good year for me.
Let's expand on that in a sec, but it brings up something that we've been talking about. And just like, I love how you have the confidence and swagger and self-belief, but you also have this like supportive teamwork and sportsmanly component to your personality. And I think the combination of those two things is great, of like, I'm a ruthless competitor, and also like, I want to see you succeed also. You don't see that often. So I just want to give you a shout out about that. And
thanks, again, I mean, I think you can have both.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see why there's no reason. And if you're confident in your race plan and your game plan, like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be that way. Right.
Yeah.
And like, I think I'm going to continue to be that way throughout my career.
Good, man. I mean, it's, I think, representative of what makes the sport special. So then leaving Champay, La Giette, this was the critical climb from my perspective, and going back and looking how the race played out. You and Adam more or less together at Champay-Lac, Zhang not far back. By the time you get to La Giette, Hayden Hawks has a 5-minute gap. So you put 5 minutes into the field in a single climb, which for our viewers and listeners is a big margin. Did it feel like that was an intentional thing, or was it also just like, I'm within myself, running my pace, and the gap is the gap?
Yeah, I knew I was stronger on the climbs, so I knew I could make up time on the climbs. I knew that I was losing a little bit of time on the downhills. So yeah, maybe I pushed a little bit on the ups, but it was more like take each next climb, because there's 3 big climbs to go, right? And it was like each one, just push a little bit harder. Like, stay within yourself, stay under control. Again, I had splits. I knew what I needed to do. I'd done workouts on all those climbs, the 7 weeks before the race. So I knew exactly what I was capable of on those climbs. Yeah, and it was mostly just take care of yourself, stay wet, stay hydrated, keep eating. And if you can gain time on the climbs, that would probably help quite a bit. So
I was talking to Matt Daniels last night too, and he said that your split from Argentière to the Flagère, that final climb, was also ridiculous. So
I don't remember. Yeah. The Triant Climb was the one I really focused on.
That was the one you doubled in training, right?
Yeah, and I focused a lot on it in the race, because I actually had a phrase going into my head, like going into that climb, was like nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is where I put the nail in the coffin. Like, if I can gain time on this climb, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, this is where I'm going to win the race, because I don't think they'll be able to catch me on the last climb. And so, yeah, that was my focus, was nail in the coffin, and run what you're capable of. And I had a number in mind as like 40 minutes. So there was a point, because I'd done workouts on this,
right,
from the bottom of the climb pretty much to right where it starts descending off the backside. I had a number of 40 minutes, that if I could run 40 minutes on race day on that climb,
that's the nail in the coffin.
Then I knew that would be the nail in the coffin. And I ran exactly 40 minutes.
Wow. Nail in the coffin. I love it. Okay, so just fast forward, I guess, at that point you had the race well and truly under control, but you arrived back in Chamonix, a 2-time winner now on the world's biggest stage. What did it feel like to do it again after a 7-year hiatus? I mean, it's pretty amazing to still, like, for a lot of people, that's an entire career, right? And you very much have a lot of room to run in front of you, so to speak. So maybe reflecting on the 7-year journey, or the 7-year hiatus between victories here. Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of very successful races in those 7 years, but at this particular race, I hadn't won it again. I'd finished 5th at OCC. I tried, UTMB and DNF'd, and tried CCC again, and
there were a lot of ups and downs with this particular race. So to be able to do that again, it meant so much to me. I think I said this before, is that race changed my life. It changed my career. And I know this will hopefully do the same, and continue with that, because I'm just really enjoying my career right now. I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying my family and the experiences that we're having. And I want to continue to be able to do that as long as I can.
Yeah.
So that's my main focus right now, is I don't need wins to be happy, but wins help, with my life and everything else, so that I can continue to live the way I want to live. And that's been my main focus this whole entire season. And it will continue to be that way going forward. I'm very content with life right now. I'm very content with my career, and I want to continue keeping that ball rolling.
Yeah. Amazing, man. So coming back to this ruthless competitor plus sportsmanship element of your personality, aren't you buddies with Peter Frano? Can you guys do, because I've spoken to some Slovakian trail runners, and he's, of course, their pride and joy. And I know you've spent some time there training. Yeah. Do you guys have a relationship?
Yeah, I did a little race in Slovakia back in the day, the Polonica Trail. Awesome, cool race. But anyways, I went over to Slovakia. Like I said, we like to go and visit a new country after races, or we like to, while we're out here in Europe, we kind of like to travel around and see some new places. We went to Slovakia one year, and I got introduced to Peter out there, and we did a training run on his training grounds, near his home, in the Low Tatra. It was an amazing area, man. Yeah. Such a hidden gem in Europe. And I got to know him pretty well. Good kid. He was really young at that time, was into the sky running and doing that kind of stuff. And I've seen his career progress now. He's actually reached out to me a few times for some tips over the years, been able to help him out a bit. Just such a good, humble, competitor. Yeah.
This is a big deal for him, too.
Big deal for him. He had an incredible race. Really just happy to see that. Yeah. I mean, I was so happy to see the podium, right? Peter, a good friend of mine, Adam Peterman, a good friend of mine, and then Dan Jones in fourth. I was kind of hoping Dan would finish 1-2. Me and Dan had this thought, on our training runs, we kept talking about going 1-2. First it was going 1-2 at Western States. Yeah. Of course, we went 3-4. Here it was we're going to do 1-2 at CCC. And I kept hearing he was moving into second place. I kept, Dan's in second. And I was like, it's coming true. It's coming true. And the first thing I asked at the finish line is, I was like, where's Dan? Before anything, I didn't even, nothing else. Where's Dan? Is he in second? And they're like, no, unfortunately, he moved back to fourth. Which, come on, man. Dan has had an incredible year.
Beast.
I know he's not on the podium. Fourth place at States, fourth place at CCC, winning course record at Tarawera, second to Eli Hemming at Canyons 50K.
Right. That's a season.
Yeah, that's a season, man. And that is one of the best seasons of the year. And give the guy credit, man.
You guys are on
amazing.
Fire. Speaking of seasons, man, I wanted to close with this, but maybe we'll introduce a couple more questions here at the end. Your season, Black Canyon victory, just another flawless textbook, in control the whole way, Hayden Hawks victory. Western States, third place, running 14:24 in one of the most dramatic podium chases in memory. You got that tune-up victory at the CAT race by UTMB in Austria, and now another victory at CCC. I mean, that's absolutely astonishing. Trail Runner of the Year type season so far. And I don't know if there's any reflections or comments about just what's made 2024 so special for you.
Just really grateful for the year. Last year was one of the hardest years of my life, or my hardest years of my career, at least. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people go through a lot more, but it was hard for me. And to follow it up with one of the best years of my career, I feel like so far, it's pretty incredible, and it shows me that good things always come after trials and tribulations, and you just got to get through those sometimes and come out stronger. And I hope to keep this ball rolling. I'm healthy, I'm fit, and I feel like throughout the season I've just progressed each race, and it's been due to a lot of smart training. And I have to give credit to my coach, Robbie Britton. He has guided me through this whole process. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. He has been super instrumental in all this. can't thank him enough. I can't, thank my sponsors enough for supporting me through all this and through a lot of the hard times.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to have the team around me, my family, my wife. And honestly, that's how I feel about it. It's just like, I'm very grateful for the year, and I hope to just continue this. And like I said, I'm in a good headspace right now.
Yeah, it seems like
and
it.
I think that's what's most important for me, is being in a good headspace and being happy. And when I'm happy, I can do incredible things.
So maybe as we close down, when you came in here before we started recording, we were talking about Vincent, who you've known for a long time, who's worked at the HOKA brand. I'm sure the audience would love to hear you say a few words about him.
Yeah, Vincent. I mean, I'm not as good friends with him as like Jim and them, but I've known Vincent for years. He has been instrumental in a lot of the product development at HOKA. He's helped me a lot with different shoes and different things over the years. It's just incredible, man. I mean, it shows though that like anything's possible, right? You don't have to necessarily be a pro runner to win one of the biggest race in the world. Like, it's pretty awesome. Congrats to him. Yeah. Congrats to his family. I know he's put a lot of hard work, a lot of effort into this, and he deserves the respect, and he deserves, to be treated like a champion, because that's truly what he is. Just really, excited for him and what this is going to do for his life.
Great. Are you shutting it down for the year?
I might do one more 50K just for fun. I'm going to Slovenia after this, and I'm signed up for the Julian Alps 50K. Might be just a fun little race. It's a beautiful country, beautiful area. I thought, I'm recovering really well. I feel incredible. I actually don't feel that bad.
All right, now you're starting to piss me off, dude.
No. Just execution, man. It's all it is. Eating and hydrating, it does a lot for you. And I think, I've been asked a lot over the last couple of days, are you going to do UTMB next year? It's always the question you get asked after you win CCC. And I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. Maybe I'll do OCC next year.
That would be cool.
I'm really happy with running the races that I'm running right now.
Well, you said on the pre-race interview, I'm going back to Western States next year too.
Doing Western States, and I don't have to check off anything to be happy. I don't have to get the win at UTMB to have a successful career. Yeah. Maybe someday, but I feel like right now I'm just not ready for that.
You'd have to get poles. You famously you didn't use poles again, and you completely smashed
Dylan's won UTMB without poles.
I can't believe that, man.
Maybe I'll try and mimic that.
Yeah.
Poles don't work for me, and I like to run as much as I can. Yeah. So it's worked twice.
Hayden, you're an absolute stud, man. We're so happy for you and proud of you as American Trail fans. Thank you. Just love the way that you approach the sport, both with your competitive drive and also your gracious, humble, and grateful spirit. So congratulations on another victory. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, thanks, man.